Hey, what's going on, everybody? Martavius here,
Jeremy.
and welcome back to another jam session. So, Jeremy, how's your week been going?
Man, it's been going pretty good. I can't really, complain too much. Had a lot of things to do at work, but I felt good, like kind of collaborating with people, meeting new things. I feel I have a different approach and understanding of what I need to do, what I want to accomplish, and kind of the next steps that I want to do in my career or whatnot. So it's always good because I felt like I was just kind of not stagnant, but like just waiting for that next thing and what I need to do in order to reach whatever level I wanted to try to go to. And I felt like this week has provided clarity on that.
Nice. Yeah, clarity is always good. We can't delete that. But no, that's good. Just being in the environment to help you to see things a little bit differently.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, similar. It's been a challenge, just sleep schedule has been different, man. Just, my son and, the toddler phase and how his sleep is just changing. It's like we used to get like, okay, 8 o'clock, he's gonna be like, yeah, making noise and stuff.
Really? 8 o'clock? Okay.
Yeah. But it's just like slowly starting to go back, to where it's just like 7, 6, and sometimes it's 4:30 in the morning, sometimes it's 3:30. So it's just like it's hit and miss sometimes. Like this morning, I think he woke up around 7, maybe 7:30 ish. And then when his breakfast and all that stuff. So just being mindful of that, in addition to the time is changing, so it's going to be getting darker soon. That whole thing. So we're trying to prepare him, but at the same time is like not overly do it to where he's used to going to sleep at like 6:30. Because the time goes back, so it's going to be going back an hour. So.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I thought they stopped that. They ain't stopped. I don't think it went. My goodness.
Especially like some of other places don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think Arizona, maybe they don't change the time. When we were in the Virgin Islands, they didn't change the time. And it felt so good and so natural. It's like, yes, like the sun is going down, but that's okay. That's okay. Let it do its thing. So yeah, that's been my week, is just adjusting to that and just getting more clarity to myself. Just, writing more things down and really looking at, okay, what's the plan? What's the strategy? What do we do here? In terms of like family and then work as well. So
yeah, I have to write stuff down now. Like I can't keep it up here no more because it's just so much goes through that every day, every hour, kind of thing. So like I have to write down calendar wise. I have to write down everything on a notebook.
Yeah.
Then pull it on the calendar so I can see it in the house or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's not on the calendar, I don't know about it. That's my excuse. If it's not on the calendar, I don't know about it. If you reminded me about something that wasn't on the calendar, in my world.
Got you. Yeah, like you said, keeping it in multiple places too. Because I started doing that more recently and like taking hold of it, like putting the calendar on the wall and just like writing down like, okay, Omar's going to school this day. Like I'm doing this day, Cash. And it's on my phone too, but still it's like, I need to see what I want.
I need to see it. Like,
I need to have a little bing on my phone. It's like all these different points of contact to like, this thing is coming up, so get ready for it. And I think that puts a lot of good positive pressure, on us too, just to, okay, like we anticipate this thing happening. So it's just like in our minds, we slowly start to put things together to make sure that we're prepared for that thing when it actually comes. So
that's cool. You have to do that.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Glad you're getting into that. Glad you're trying to face the challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about just overall 1% improvements. So we are just big on just getting better, overall. And I know we talked about this, like just as like brothers, as men, as husbands, as like how can we just continuously improve our lives?
Yeah.
Not for ourselves, but like for the sake of our families too. Because we have these little kids running after us and like, what is he doing? And even if they're not saying it directly, it's like learning from our example and other people that we're involved with, at work, at play, wherever that may be. It's like they're looking at us to see like, well, what is Jeremy doing? What is Martavius doing? Like, how do I respond in this situation based on what the environment is telling me? And if we're subjects in that environment and we influence that environment, then we can just give that message of like, this is how the space operates. Or it's like, I'm looking for excellence in this thing, or I'm looking for peace of mind when you see me playing the video game, like I'm trying to relax, or if you see me watching the cartoon, it's like I'm trying to relax. Or if you see me like done, I'm trying to like, kill some giants in a sense. That's all we're talking about today, is just how can we get continuously better over time. And one of those concepts from that, like 1% improvements, is the compound effect. So we're gonna be talking about the compounding effect today.
Yeah, for sure. When you talk about that, it made me think about a saying my old football coach used to say: every day you have practice, hot sun, blase. Like every day you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. So like you going to be going in multitude of directions, and like the reality of life is that you're going to improve some, and then you're going to take some step back. So I think a part of constant improvement is to kind of recognize that sometimes I do get worse in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's more so I didn't put in the effort that I needed to. I have the capabilities to accomplish these things. If it's on the football field, I can make the block, make the catch, make the throw, blase. If it's at work, I can get this task done when I'm supposed to, make sure the project communicate effectively. If it's at home, I can, be energized for my kids. I can be there for my significant other, that kind of thing. But sometimes we fall short in that little small moment. So but just realizing that, each day is an opportunity to get better. And long as I get better, more times than I get worse. Like I can overshadow it because when you think about compounding, I think about the stock market because I'm into that kind of stuff. So they talk about compounding interest, how it adds up. And if you look at the graph of the stock market, it's a line that goes up and down. So if I'm looking at the daily, you're going to see a lot of up and down thing. But if I take the graph out a little bit, look at the monthly, I still see up and down, but I see that trend going up or trend going down, depending on what the company is. So it's like a constant up and down flow, but depending on what goals you have, what you're doing, if you're getting better each time or whatever, especially from an incremental standpoint, is your trend going up. Yeah. So as long as that trend's going up, we're doing good, because you're gonna have some, you're gonna have some downfalls or whatever. Just like recognizing that and accepting that is kind of a piece of being able to do the compounding growth. Yeah. If you say.
Yeah. No, that's good. And how you described it, it felt like very comforting. It's like, because no, really, it's just because I feel like a lot of times where we do have that down moment, it's just like, oh, no, it's like just ripping your shirt off, like, no, why? But it really is like, well, this is why. Like, there's a bigger picture to this, and it's one of those things I feel like we always come back to this, but it's hard to see the picture when you're the one in the frame. So like being on that, like I said, minute level, it's like you're on the ground floor level. You see all the things. So you're like, is this working? Is this happening? Am I making progress? Like you said, with stocks, like, is my money being used? Why is it being invested wisely? All those things. But it's like, you're like, I didn't even pull it out. I need to quit. I need to stop, whatever comes to mind. But like worst case scenario, like things. But it's like, if you look at that bigger picture of it, or understand and realize that, it's like, it's actually, this is a small little blip. Like that one little thing that happened, that one little mistake. Nobody even noticed it, but you. You. Exactly, but you. And it's like, you're the only one who judges yourself like this critically, but everybody else from the outside looking in, they're just like, he's making all this growth, or he's doing XYZ thing. You're like, it's like you sweating bullets back there, but it's just like cooking up this meal. When people get it, it's just like this nice, peaceful experience. It's like, I had to do a lot to get that. So I hope you appreciate it. It's just like, as you're talking, it just feels very comforting, like knowing that, like, this is, if you're at a hospital, and you look at that beep, that's life. It goes up and down. It's like, that's legit how life works. It's like, your heart doesn't just stay at one place and that's it, or just, it's like, you're dead. It's like, you have this flat line. There's no movement. There's no change. There's no growth, either for better or for worse. It's like, you're not really experiencing life to the fullest, So it's just like you saying that, it's just like a comforting feeling, hopefully for people out there. I know it was for me, but it's just like, it's just a small blip on the scale. So, you can always make these improvements over time. And again, with that compounding effect, it's just like growing that. Like, as you were talking too, I got reminded just of like Dragon Ball Z and Goku, and how he just always trained. And it's just like, why are you training so much? But it's like, you're already the strongest that can ever be. But it's like, there's more to this, and it's like, sometimes we don't see that, when it's like, we're making these small, tiny changes, because 1% is not that much, but it's just like making these small changes over time, but over a grand amount of time, that larger scale. It's like, I've really.
I mean, figuratively, you could think about it like, when we hit a certain age, as a child, like, everybody kind of wants to be tall, or they want to grow in that sense. Like, but as a person, you don't see yourself getting taller necessarily. That's true. You obviously got taller to some extent. You may not be as tall as the 6'10" basketball player or whatever, but from your point last year, if you're at the age of 5, from your point at the age of 4, you got taller. You grew inches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that happened. You don't realize it. The outside people realize it. Like if you go visit your grandmother that you visit only during the holiday, like she'll say, "Oh, how big you got? You got so much taller." But I'm like, "What you mean? I feel the same.
Nothing has changed.
Like my shoes a little tighter, but like that's about it." But I mean, the growth happens. You know what I mean? Like whether you acknowledge it or not, it's going to happen. It's kind of like culture, cultivating cultures. The culture is going to cultivate whether you're a part of it or not. But the best thing to do is to try to be a part of it so you can, capitalize on it. Use it as a tool, use it as an asset to get to where you want to be, do what you want to do with it, use it to your advantage or whatnot.
So like, how have you used that compounding effect like in your own personal experience?
I mean, I would say for me, the example that kind of comes to mind was when I was educator and I knew that I didn't want to do education anymore. I wanted to get into a different realm, and technology was that realm for me. So like I had to teach myself how to code. Like I didn't really come from that background. Computer science, I didn't do that. I did regular math stuff or regular science, biology.
Yeah, I remember that.
But computer science, that was a whole nother language. So like my approach was I have to go to just practice coding, just watching YouTube video on one computer, then on the other computer, just making mistakes constantly. So I did that like Monday through Friday, every day for like, this was during the COVID school year. So probably that whole school year. So Monday through Friday, every week from, August to December. So that's like, what's that, like 3 or 4 months? Then January to about March. So that's about 3 or 4 more months. So probably about half a year. Just did that consistent every single day. Then I got to the point where I could understand the logic of that realm enough. Like I hadn't mastered it at all, but I knew it enough to be able to like communicate effectively to somebody that's actually in that, or somebody that's looking to give somebody an opportunity to be in that. Like an entry level standpoint. So, just committing to that little by little. Like I didn't try to do an all-nighter with it at all. Like I did spend some extra time during like actual holiday breaks, like Christmas time, spent some extra time doing. I actually ended up getting COVID during the holidays one year. So I was
that's like around December.
So I couldn't go around anybody. So I was just in my room, just coding, like just doing that all day for that little week period or whatever. I couldn't really have contact. So that kind of exponential my growth a good bit. So that I just continued to flow. That extra boost made it a little bit easier to understand, made me be able to do things a little bit quicker with it, so I could accomplish more on that, that next year, that January through March, like I said. So I could kind of do twice as much as I could then, because I just knew more about it. Yeah, but like just then looking back on it, like around March or April, that's when I started like applying to jobs within the sector, and was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to do like my current role or whatnot from that. And that just went from just committing for like 6 months, doing a little by little. When I found an opportunity to do more, I did more. But then back down to my regular schedule. And, I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to kind of showcase what I've learned. And it's, it's been good so far. It's been life-changing. Going from education to kind of the tech sector now.
Yeah. Real talk. That's great that you just had that transition in mindset too, of like, I need to do something different, so I'm going to do something different. Like just making that leap, making that jump and doing it, because I feel like that's hard for a lot of people just to,
man, so hard.
Yeah, it's just
so hard, scary. Like, yeah, what I'm gonna do if I can't do it, or something like that, So I just focused on that plan. Like I had some backup plans in mind for like my other. If that didn't work out, or if I didn't get a job by that school year, I was going to like go transition from being a math teacher to being a technology teacher. Like have like the school pay for my like certification for computer science, so that way I could still learn the skills, but I'm applying it in a different way. And then as I'm learning it, I could just kind of network with like the professors at the school, try to see, okay, how can I apply this in this other realm versus just teaching it. So that would have made it longer, because I would have had to get the certification, which would have took maybe a year or 2, but I still probably would have been able to end up where I'm at now. But I was just able to expedite that. Increase the velocity of that. So
Yeah, that's really dope, man. Just like the self-education.
Like, it's
like I'm gonna just
you have to, man.
Take this lead over myself to like learn a new skill so I can apply it in a new way and open me up to new doors and new people and new environments and just see where that goes. Like that's kind of something that I feel like I've done too with myself with that 1% change and that compounding effect. It's like going back to that Dragon Ball Z example to where he was just, I felt like always in training mode. I had a season in my life where I was just in training mode. It's like physical training, spiritual training, social training, mental training, like all those things, you know. But one of those things for me was just like the social aspect of it. Cause I was like, okay, yeah, the whole introvert thing that can stop me from a lot of relationships and people that I can actually interact with and have really a conversation with, you know? So it's like, let me force myself to get in environments and do things. So I remember I was on a tennis court one day and it was like nobody out there. And I would just like practice saying numbers from 1 to 10. So it's like, from 1 that was like the quietest I could be to like 10 loudest I could be. So I would just do that exercise over and over and just walking around like looking like a crazy person, right? Just like 1, 2, 3, just like slowly getting, by the time I could tell, I was like 10, you know, but it's just like really trying to focus on projecting, hearing my own voice and not feeling awkward about it, you know, and just because that's something I felt like when I had a conversation with people, you know, in like a small group setting, it's cool. But like when there's more people, I'm like, let me go find a corner somewhere, you know, just observe what's going on.
Drain,
man. I got to step back some, but I've learned to still step back, but still be present. You know, so it's like I feel like the counting to 10, I would do like a lot of these exercises. Like, I did that even before like orientation, before I went on stage. I'll be like in that little back room area.
I remember that.
And I would just like make a lot of sounds.
Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Get ready.
Yeah, it's just like that's what I did to warm up my voice and like get comfortable. So I was like, if I just speak awkwardly now, I won't feel awkward when I'm out there, you know, in front of people. Because it's like I was already awkward by myself, so I ain't scared of y'all, you know. So that got me in a different environment. But I would do things like that, like the counting to 10, or doing those you know, lip warm up voice exercises, or again, even like putting myself in networking situations. You know, it's just like, all right, let me network. Let me learn how to be present with this person, but I can still be like taken aback, but I don't have to be in a corner somewhere.
Right.
I can still be here in front of their face. So as soon as I would like meet them, of course, it's like I learned how to present myself like I've been here before, you know, and then it's just more so like asking them those questions, not like, what do you do? Because I feel like everybody asks that at like a networking event, like, hey, what do you do? I'm in sales and I'm in marketing or whatever.
That's how they talk.
Yeah.
Oh, my name is William Hibbert the Third.
But no, it's just like they would just, you know, do those basic openings. But for me, it's just like, have you always been here, or is this your first time here, or something like that? And just ask them in the sense of like, what did you find interesting while you're here, and just like ask them a question. That way, I can just sit back and let them talk to me and get them warmed up, you know. And as far as like once to the event, if they're like fresh, new there, but at the same time, I'm warming up to them to see like how do they talk. What are they into? Because I do that if I'm in the corner anyway, and like observing.
That's the superpower, of being able to observe, read the body language, read the tone, and try to like figure. I'm gonna write my own story about you guys.
Exactly. So it's just like based on that, I can just see like who am I actually here to connect with, and then I just found that I just need to connect with one person here. That's it, you know. And that's easy for me, so I can do that as opposed to trying to connect with. Pass out my business cards to
right.
Meet, shake hands. Like, no, it's like I don't. It's a lot, you know. So I was like, how can I just simplify this? So I feel like those little training sessions that I had, that was just like my 1%. Like, okay, each one's gonna compound on the next, because this one skill of being able to like speak super soft and then like go all the way to a 10 is like when people need it. It's like, all right, I've mastered that, you know, in a sense. So let's move on to the next thing and the next thing. So
I guess is there anything else that you're currently trying to master, and like what tips would you have or would you give to the audience for being able to like bring this compounding effect into their day-to-day lives, and what are like some things that they can look forward to, or what are some tools they can utilize to help them with that?
For sure. I feel like journaling, number one. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind for me is I got a new like little notebook, and it's like blue and it's like waves or whatever, and it's like I call it my water bending.
Nice.
So it's just like, all right, I'm doing some water bending. Like Cash, even she's in on it, so she's like, have you done water bending today? And I was like, nah, let me go do that. So let me write that, because she's really big on like meditation and journaling.
Yeah, of course.
Affirmations, things like that. Yeah. So, and that's what she does like for other women too. So it's just, you know, I'm in the loop. So it's like she's checking in on me to make sure I'm actually following through with it. Especially, I know that's where I have the most compounding for myself I call it the feedback loop, but it's just like I'm reading what I talked about maybe a month ago.
Okay.
And it's like, because I'm now on the outside of that situation, I'm like, how was Martavius thinking a month ago? You know, how was Martavius thinking 90 days ago? What was Martavius trying to do and say he was going to achieve? And have I gotten there, or have I surpassed that? Or do I still need some work, you know? And I can just look back on how I was thinking, what I was feeling at the time, or what I was actually doing, you know, at that moment. And then now that I'm on the outside of that, I can look back and just get that feedback, like, okay, this is what I was talking about. This is what frame of thinking I was in. This is what happened around me. Am I changed because of that? Am I different because of that? Am I smarter, stronger, better because of that? And now that I'm at this position, now that I've reflected on this, how can I stack that and then go ahead in the next, you know, direction? So journaling is the top tool that comes to mind for me, especially as we opened up, just getting things from your head like onto paper. So it's like in the physical world now. It's like, it's not in this very dreamy, abstract world, you know, that's your mind, but you can look at it on paper. You can touch it on paper.
Yeah.
You know, so journaling, number one.
I need to start by doing that. I haven't thinking about it. As you was talking, I was just like thinking about my 30-day-old self or 90-day-old self. I haven't done that in a minute, man. I need to put that, because basically what I used to do was just like write out everything I could envision in my head, because I feel like if it's, no matter how big or how small it is, if I can envision it, that's the goal. That's what I'm aiming for. Then I would be able to reference it back for like that following year and be able to own everything, almost like a vision board, but not as formal as that. I did everything, or these are the two things that I haven't been able to do. Let me add that to my documents, figure out when the opportunity, because the only reason I haven't been able to do it because the door hasn't quite opened for me to get there. Maybe I'm trying to move too fast or something for that, but I try not to like make it a hindrance to try to be like, oh, I need to check out every single thing before I move on to the next. Like, it's not really a linear process. Like, it's definitely, I go from kind of like that flow, go up here, then okay, I gotta go back in order to get a few things, and go back up and go down just a little bit and go back up, kind of thing. So that's kind of how I view that. But I'm glad you brought up journaling, because I really do need to.
It's good. Yeah. What about yourself? Like,
man, I mean, journaling was a good one for sure. Any kind of tool of writing things down is definitely good, because it helps kind of survey that growth piece of it. But I would say, you know, just memories, like being able to craft memories and capture them, whether that's pictures, videos. Like, I find a lot of mine just like going through my phone and like going to the top of my photos app, just browsing through it, just to kind of get a sense of, man, how did I feel this day? I remember, man, my kids look like babies. My gosh, they've grown so much. I've lost weight since then. My hair was like this. I remember that date night with my wife. We need to redo that, because we both really had a great time. So like, just kind of that, you know, kind of that, what we used to call like a Rolodex back in the day. That's what we used to call it. So kind of like that Rolodex visually. My phone is just, see it. Other than writing it down, me seeing the picture, it reminds me of the feeling. Then
everything just kind of
it's almost like I'm taking back to that moment a bit more.
That's really cool.
So I guess that's kind of the one.
It's like a visual journal.
To assist, and you're not even thinking, like, you just in the moment, you just taking a picture because you're having a good time. But then, kind of like you said, 90 days later, maybe a year later, whatever, like, it brings you right back to that point or whatnot. So,
like, music has that same effect.
Yeah,
you listen to it, just
like,
go back like, oh, this is 6th grade, man.
I'm crying. I'm floating in the sky, crying right now because this man lost his wife. Music does it every time.
Yeah, man. But that's good. I feel like that's a great tool, like, for somebody who's like a visual learner, or they experience things visually, like, to have that like picture, like, just look through your photo, because sometimes you get that reminder from your phone, or Facebook does that, or whatever. Memories, but it's just like, like, memories. This is what happened. You know, like, my mom just shared one with me like 2 days ago. She was like, I opened up my phone and this would have came up, and it was like her spending time with me and Cash before my son came in the picture, and it was like the dog. So I was like, man, life before Omari. Like,
I saw a memory. It may have been this morning, man. I saw a memory when we was in college, man. You know that it was, I don't know if it was DBG or ASA. But it was an event. It was the flyer that we had for it. And that thing said 13 years ago today. My God. 13 years ago today?
Wow.
What?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Time, man, time. So yeah, those are some great tools. So again, hopefully this episode was helpful for you all. You can just check us out on socials. Y'all see the links in the description below to link up to our different socials. Just stay connected to what we're doing, the message that we're sharing, just on, of course, getting 1% better. And like we talked about today, just the compounding effect and how you can utilize it in your own lives to be better, to get 1% better, to make one little change, one little difference in your life and in the lives of those around you. Jeremy, got anything else to say?
Yeah, just, let us know what you think. Let us know what can you utilize to be able to get 1% better. Let us know how it worked, if it worked. Let's keep this conversation going for sure.
All right, guys. Till next time. Martavius, check it out.
Peace.